And welcome, everyone. Congratulations. Hooray. So excited to see all of you. And your work was so fascinating and so powerful. So I'm Pat, by the way. Um, and I plan to be very quiet very soon and just let you all talk about what you've done and your experience. But I'm wondering, would it be okay for everyone to go around the room, introduce yourself, talk about your role in the research, a little bit of your background, how you came to SE, how all this sort of emerged for you. I'd love to hear from each of you if you don't mind. So I'm going to be quiet and then let you guys decide how you want to do that. So I'm going to mute and just would love to get to know you better.
Okay, great. Maybe I just go ahead. My name is Didem Caylak. I've been the supervisor in this project, and I had different roles as well in coordination and organization. I'm also involved in the organization of SE trainings in Turkey. I'm in SCP since 2007, and I'm also a senior assistant and starting to become a teacher. And I'm just fascinated by SE, and that is the reason why I did my master's in clinical psychology, to be able to introduce SE in a more credentially based way to Turkey. And this is how we organized attracted two very well-known universities to bring things together, and we, get a cooperation with them when we first brought SE to Turkey. But that's all for me. And then I leave it the floor to my friends.
I'm Igor. I am a clinical psychologist, and I was in the research team with this project, and worked a bit with the coordination team and with the research team. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. That's it for now. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Defne Erdur. I'm a sociologist, a body therapist, and a dance artist, and working with different modalities, ranging from art therapy to different modalities in body therapy as well. I am also a SCP since I'm one of the first graduates of SCPs in Turkey, and I'm now assisting in France, Romania, and Turkey as well. I live in France, and and I'm so proud, as well as my friends, and proud of the team. I'm living currently in France, but working, supporting the organization and the trainings of SC in Turkey as well.
All right, so it's an evening here, but probably afternoon in US right now, right? Definitely. Okay, this is Hande Sart. I'm a faculty member at Boğaziçi University, so the university that Didem mentioned already. So I got my PhD from University of Pittsburgh in applied developmental psychology. So I was trained as a clinician. However, I met SE, so I was one of the first, graduate of the first group. So I completed my training, I think 2 years ago. So, and it turned out to be that beside my clinical training, I think that's a great approach, having the SE as a clinician as well. So my role in the project is that I'm involved with the research group. So I think this is the exciting part because I'm a faculty member at the Department of Counseling Psychology at Boğaziçi. So it's part related with psychology, but research overall. And plus during that, our volunteer work related with SC at the outbreak of COVID, I was also a practice as well. So both researcher and the practitioner, I will say. Not many sessions, but only 2 clients. But I think you feel that as the volunteerism as well, doing the research part. Thank you.
I am a psychologist. I also have a master's in early childhood education and a partial, I have been unable to write my thesis, but I did complete the education for clinical psychology degree. I was also part of the first group of SE practitioner training in Turkey as well, completed in 2016. And for over 20 years, I've also been very much involved with working with women in terms of human rights and gender equality, and since 97 actually, across Turkey in terms of both training and advocacy. And I was very much involved in the project, not in the researching part, but the practitioner parts. So the more technical questions I won't be able to really help with. But I was, I think, I don't really remember how many people. Yes, and I also edited the paper as fast as I could in the time provided. And I'm really happy that we did this. I don't know what my friends and colleagues said before, but like working in where something really needs the help. I mean, hearing from Ale, hearing from Raja, hearing from Lida, working in places where the need is the most. And this tradition, I think, started first with Ursula, who came to Istanbul after the earthquake here in 2015, I think it was. And ever since then, it's been like a really great way of really getting into the field as soon as something's happening. And we really reacted really quickly. And I'm so thankful to all the team members who organized it behind the scenes. And I'm really glad that a research was put together to bring more evidence-based information about what's going on. And I'm really, really happy to be a part of the group. And thanks, and really happy about the award as well.
Thank you. I'm very proud of, and it's a wonderful day for me to in this group and to live in this tradition. I'm Neslihan. I'm also a faculty member in Medeniyet University and also counseling psychologist. How to say, I, as a second group of SE, and I'm also SE practitioner. I also work trauma as a academic part and in a theory part and in clinical parts. And when this project starts, I'm a SE practitioner. Firstly start, then I joined the research team. I'm very happy, I'm very glad and proud to see all of these members and to reach this point. I'm so happy, and that's all maybe.
Okay, it was unexpected, and my hands are a little shaky and sweaty. I don't know why, but I'll be just giving brief information about me because I don't have the background that my friends mentioned already. I'm just only at the second year of my SE training. I'm still learning about it, and I'm really excited. The more that I learn about it, the more excited that I get, because I really feel that it's a really interesting and wonderful approach. And when we first begin SE training, my friend Bilge is already here, and she'll be talking about herself soon, I think. We were also thinking about creating something to prove how SE works with trauma and other related issues. So this is a really proudful day for Bilge and me also, because we got the chance to say out loud that SE is working so well with issues. And I think that's why we were also a little proud about the issue also, because it was one of our goals to be able to say to the world. And I am a counseling psychologist also. I'm working as a research assistant in one of the universities in Istanbul. Oh, what else I can say? I think I don't have really fancy background to mention, but I can say that it's really nice thing for me to be here and be able to speak about the things that we have experienced in our research part. And I was at the research part, by the way. I was working about the data, collecting data, and just like analyzing data part. And it was really marvelous to see how things worked with the study group that we worked for this research. So I can say that it's really wonderful to be here. Oh, I'm so excited. I don't know why. Okay, I'll be calm in a few minutes, I think, and I'll be just like throwing ball to Bilge, but not without my excitement. I'm just like sending just the ball and like leaving the floor to Bilge now.
Thank you, Daria. But I'm already excited, and I don't know what to say. But first, when speaking English, I'm really nervous. And I'm Bilge and research assistant like Daria in same university, Marmara University. I was at research part in this project, and I'm really, really excited and proud and glad to be here. Somatic experiencing, I'm still a student like Daria, by the way. We are at advanced level now. And when we meet with somatic experiencing, actually it started to my point of view to life and still continue. So it's not just a project, it's not just research, it's another home for me. And I'm really happy to be here with all these people at the team. That's all, I guess.
I think it's my turn. No one else is here. I actually I am the newest person in the team. Maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I joined the team, so I didn't take active part in the first part of the project, but I will be taking parts in other projects, let's say. My name is Ayşegül. I am a PhD candidate and research assistant in Ankara, not in Istanbul, in a different city of Turkey. And I will be working as a research member in this team. I haven't started my SE training yet, but I will be in September, in this September, hopefully. And I'm very happy to be here, to be with you.
Tell me the story of how this all came to be.
Wow, I think it makes sense that Didem starts, but because we're talking about the project and the research that followed that parallelly, I take the ball to start. But I think the team, the ground, the perspective was already put in place by Didem since for a long while, even before the training started in Turkey. And since we graduated in 2013, I think, I had this feeling that we are already a great team of therapists working in this field and we can do things together. I think that was the base. I have been attending other trainings around the world, but of course, coming from where I come from, it felt like, okay, home is strong. And having had to leave Turkey 4 years ago, living in France, I felt the support of this team from afar, online already, before the COVID started, before everything was online. I was connected and working with this team online. Not only work, but I was also getting some colleague support and practicing SC online. So I felt quite empowered when the COVID started. And feeling a bit privileged living in France and safe in my home, I had this calling in me that I have to do something for the people that have been supporting me all my life in my country. And I made a call on the social media that I would give free sessions for the economically or under stress conditions, difficult conditions in that current period. And in 2 days, my 3 weeks were full. So I promised myself to give 1 free session a day. And I was surprised how much need there was already. at the very onset of COVID, and there were a lot of doctors and some social workers who were asking for help. And my first immediate reaction was to write on our WhatsApp group for the first group of graduates, sisters, brothers, there's a lot of need, and I need help. Like I cannot hold this. I want to do something, but shall we? Like, what shall we? And Didem immediately jumped in and said, like, I was thinking, like, what shall we do? And thank you, Defne, for triggering this. What shall we do? And in one night, very quickly, all our graduates were like, let's do something. Yes, I mean, even from Canada to Sweden to Turkey, who were already like left Turkey. So there was this amazing fire getting into huge fireworks actually online. And very quickly we were really set on how are we going to do this? Okay, we had Zoom meetings, people who were already thinking and ready to plan, program things like this. We're like, okay, how shall we do it? How should we collaborate with other organizations who may have set things in place? Or can we create like a setup ourselves? And maybe Didem, you can continue, and I can support you with the setup after, with the protocols and procedures.
That's great. Thank you, Daphne. Yes, I remember the day that you left a voice recording also on my phone. And I was like, I'm not that fond of voice, but that one, like, sometimes I delay. And then I listened and I was like, oh, I now know why I am now here. Because it was the COVID time, and I left my husband in Netherlands and I went to Turkey to stay with my mom. Like, I didn't want, I just want to be next door. We didn't know what's going to come. And I was a little bit, like, down that it's this split. And I felt like, okay, there is a reason we are here. It just was such a calling. It's, as Defne said, like, many people showed up. It was just left to then putting things together and really making this work. And I'm kind of good in organizing. So we started like, different things. I connected with IGNOR, and we get in touch with the teachers because it needed a structure, and we needed to form like the volunteers of SC needed to reach the healthcare. Well, we chose the healthcare professionals, but my friend will tell about it, why we chose them. And then it needed a structure to meet these people, and it needed to be in a protocol where, we came up with how many sessions, how many people we have, and like, okay, so we can do this in 2 sessions. Look like we contacted Sonia Gomez, international faculty of SETI from Brazil. She's also been our advanced year teacher in Turkey, and many times been jumping in for supervisions when we need. And she talked to us about a protocol that they had one implementation, not for healthcare workers, developed in Brazil just for people who need help, who were alone at home. So we adapted that protocol with help of Sonia at the beginning, and then we really, adapted it to the local needs, and then we had it. And I remember Gülşah also, like, we were translating the other one, putting in our ideas, and then really making it something that's like workable, that's going to help, like a guideline for our practitioners. So what will happen in a first session? How is the initial contact? How are we going to say even hi, which name? Are we going to make one phone call? If there is no reply, is it a text? Is it an email? All these things, and Defne can say more about it. With Defne's initial thing, I was instrumental in the protocol, and then the procedure part, Defne did an amazing detailed job, which we also worked together, and then we formed a coordination team. Yeah, you want to say more about it, Defne? I feel you do. Okay.
Very briefly, I don't want to take longer time from the research because this is the research award, but I sense the importance of the preparation of this procedure in relation to the protocol, in relation to the needs in the local, quickened the research initiative, let's say, because from the very onset onwards, we were very aware of the needs that the SCPs would have, like how could we support them to have an easy process in supporting the healthcare providers. And then also knowing how detailed work was there for the protocols with Sonia and the supervisions that you were planning to give also, Didem, we wanted to collect the data already before the envisioning of the research. We wanted to have some kind of a easy way to access what was happening in the field, that the therapists, the SCPs could have a quick gathering of the information before even the first meeting. So the application from the people who seek for help was going to be automated online. And I have some documentation and online work practices myself for years. So I was already ready, like I was very quick and easily functioning in online forms, and thanks to some Google support also there, it's kind of, that was very easily accessible. And then the procedures, we were also a lot in communication with ICNUR, that we could, how to standardize them and how to somehow make them accessible to Didem while giving the supervision. And also, as we started to realize that we are gathering quite significant data that can really serve to talk about SC and how we are supporting this process. So, and SC supports in terms of these emergency situations. And I think along the way, when the research decision was started to be appearing, we were like, okay, we really have to make something with this information. We were able to go back to the existing questionnaires, somehow that we were creating them to follow up the process, because we decided to do 2 sessions. And after the sessions, we wanted to get feedback from the people who took the sessions, the clients, quote unquote. We were able to adapt these forms when the research started, the idea started to unfold.
Tell me about that transition, because I'm fascinated by the fact sounds very organic, very emergent, and you were meeting a need, you were responding to be helpful and to collectively provide support. And then at some point, it went from, it stayed clinical, obviously, but at some point it was like, oh, we're going to do research. Tell me about that. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, let's talk about it. And I think we can then, ICNUR, you can say some things about it too, because goes into our initial meeting. Well, I always had that idea in the background when we were having the, academicians and PhD students and master students in the training with scholarship, that there was going to become research, but we just didn't know when it's going to surface, because it needed to be organically there. So we already did some field research previously in a school, Alev okulları, school teachers, and we tested these measurements before. This was already there. It was a smaller sized research. My friends will also say about it. And then there's like pieces of it. And then we had that meeting with Michael in Holland. Maybe you want to talk about that, ICNUR, how that got and how we got in touch with.
Maybe to start with and connect, I'm also an SEP from the first group, graduate of the first group of SE in Turkey. And I'm one of those students who got the scholarship when I was a clinical psychology master's student. And then I started working with Didem in the organization, and then I was in the research committee in European Somatic Experiencing Association. Together with Frank and our colleagues, I met Michael Changaris in Sweden in his meeting, and then we were already talking about it, you know, before the pandemic. How can we make more research with SE in Turkey? And we had this in mind. And then when we started the project, the volunteer project, okay, what can we do? And you know, I contacted all faculty, you know, our SEPs faculty, who is faculty members. We have Zeynep in US. We talked to her, and you know, how can we design a more you know, a better way to put the effectiveness of SE. And then I even talked to Michael and consulted him, how can we do it in a better way. We had the constructs, and yeah, the follow-up idea came. We already made two. We will give 2 sessions and then measure the anxiety and stress levels after each session. And then the follow-up idea, we were also thinking about a control group, but we got, because it was a acute stress timing, we didn't want to waitlist anyone. So we turned it into a follow-up research. Yeah, so the research started to emerge, and then we set the research team. Hande was, you know, I consulted also Hande, you know, she joined, I mean, she was already in it, but, you know, we made a huge team, Bilge, Darya, Gülşah, Neslihan, always, you know, and then the team emerged, I think. It's really organic. Your observation is nice. It's like we had the intention in mind, and the project emerged, and then the research just organically followed. So it was a quick, seemingly quick, but it has a background. So I hope it's clear.
Can I make a comment on the teamness? Because if it's okay. Yeah. I realize now, as I listen to Ignor again, that from the very beginning, Didem kept gathering us in meetings, and we were making decisions collectively. So there was a huge think tank all the time. So whenever there was an issue arising, all the volunteers who were available at that day, we would come together, think together, like plan together, and then it was us who were able to implement those plans. But since the beginning, the team spirit and the teamwork was working so well, and this and so regulate, like it was also very regulating for us to be together and think clearer. So I think we were really, the quickness did not create agitation or anxiety, because we were always together, co-regulating and thinking clearly together. And I also wanted to add that the frame, like Ignor being in the research team, and I was also just selected for the culture committee in SE, in SETI. I think we were already kind of feeling some responsibility more than before for SE, that we need to serve. And that kind of was setting the ground for holding it together and as a team. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Now, maybe we can now roll the ball a little bit, because there is a lot of like input from Neslihan and Hande and Derya and Bilge and Gülşah, and then Ayşegül can end with the next project and so forth. So how would you like to roll it? Hande, you want to jump in here, or you want to jump in?
One sentence is what Defne stated. So I think she used the think tank. This is something about think tank, but we also did do tank as well. I think this is important to, I think, acknowledge the
I love
fact that most of us, I mean, all of us are a part of the training of SE or the SE practitioner. So I think we merge the SE practitioners together with the research. So the momentum is coming. So we know how SE works. And we always want to show it to the world that SE really works as well. So not only limited to think tank, it's do tank as well. Then I will zip it and then get the ball. So just a brief summary of how we were feeling about it.
Well, and I'm going to interject real quick, and then I want to turn it back to you. But that's what I was just sensing, is this SC work not only in the research with your implementation, but with the whole dynamic of this group, and the whole process is another evidence of how SC works in these situations. And I think it's just a very neat multi-level evidence of how SC can be a very impactful tool for us to use in these circumstances. So anyway, I was just feeling that strongly. So anyway, just want to observe that, and then I'm going to be quiet.
That's very correct. I want to say, because like it was reflected in the speed of how we were able to develop in the face of pandemic we were all facing, how we were able to think clearly, how we were able to react and get together and connect. It was also, we collected other data and other research parallel to it. Now you will hear more about that too, which we're in the process of now, formulating into which things. So we have like a couple of things that I don't know how we made it. That's also a lot of do is there. I remember many late nights, but it was like that. But I want, like, maybe Neslihan can with the idea, and then Derya and Bilge, so we come. Gülşah will be back soon. Okay.
It's so good to hear Hande Hoca, Hande answer too. It's also evidence-based for us. That's why we do job in evidence-based. And I say, well, it's also the intention is so good, was so good. And it's also starting point, it's so suitable to research. It's so standardized. That's why it was for easy to do a research. That's why it's not difficult for a research team to do a research. Firstly, which group we do? Because of pandemic condition, healthcare workers have had so much difficult times when we compare with other groups. That's why we choose. And if we do in healthcare workers, also we reach to the other groups, because if we help them, it's a frontline people. That's why if we help them, also we reach other groups. That's why we choose this group. And then we organize the research design. And also we have a standardized protocols. That's why it's easy for us. Then we take an ethical approval from university and also the ministry part. Then we design or research, experimental research, because experimental research. And we take, also we choose also instrumental tools, anxiety and stress tools is also used in every research in literature. And then we do research. We use a standardized protocol in healthcare workers. And before the application, we give scales, and then we give a scales. And after 2 session endings, follow-up, we took it. And we also tested, and we also found it's evidence-based things. Maybe I say these things, I'm very excited to explain it. Sorry, this. It's okay for me. I maybe throw ball on the hocam on the start.
the thing that I would like to add was just we wanted to choose a really short scale because we know that the frontline workers were really busy at that time. It was just like the most anxious time of pandemics. It was just the time that the government declared there will be shutdowns and there will be curfews and people will not be going out. And it was uncertainty that we were facing about pandemics, and everybody was so worried. And also healthcare workers were also worried because they were working with something they don't know that well yet. Now they are more experienced, but it was a little hard for them. And also they were face to face with the thing that everybody was trying to avoid. We were just protecting ourselves, but they had to work with those things. So it was hard for them, for their physical health and also for their mental health. So we just thought that if you want to assess something, we should be just choosing something short that's not going to take so much time of them. And they won't really feel the burden of just like filling up like a huge questionnaire that's going to take so much time since they don't have even time for themselves. So it was like a short scale that we used, and we asked them to use a nickname, and we asked them to use a number that they can remember. We asked them a number that's not going to identify them, so we want to protect their confidentiality. And Bilge and I were working on the data part because we were not taking any part. I will be using clients, but not the clients, like volunteer people who needed help. We were not working at that part, so I can say that we really were careful about the confidentiality. We couldn't identify who filled in what. And we had to sort the data in order to just like match pre-test, post-test, and follow-up. It was just like the most burden part for the analyzing part, because some people like wrote the phone numbers and they forgot to write the phone numbers, but they just like write a whole bunch of numbers, and we had to just like be careful. It was long late nights to just match the data and be able to get the data that we can analyze things on. And we unfortunately we had to get the post-test data after 2 weeks of the last implementation of the session, and they were reminded by the research part, not the practitioner. The first two data were collected by the practitioner. They were reminded to fill up the form, but for the post-test data, we asked them to fill up the form through the research email. So we believe that that might be the reason that people kind of forget to fill up the post-test data. And also I can add that since it was really busy time for them, it is possible that they might not get the chance to fill up the post-test data. And we had so much missing data in the post-test part, but still it was marvelous to see that we really touched them, we really helped them in a way that in a time that they really needed. I think that would be the things that I will be adding. Bilge, would you like to add something else?
Actually, I want to add something. We targeted the mental health professionals, but when we shared on social media, students and housewives wanna participate this project, and we provide all of them to SE sessions, but not included in the research part, but the most important thing to help people. I just want to add this.
That's also correct. We had 200 people who received help from us, but not all of them were healthcare workers. But we said that we cannot say no to anyone who really needs help at this period of time. So we help them, we provide them sessions, but we didn't just include them in the research because the target group was healthcare workers. And I really want to add, since it was a little like, it was really hard to provide all those things at that same time and just like collecting data, following up everything, I can say that the supervisions that was provided through the whole project was really helpful, not just about working with clients, but also about containing yourself, getting the help, getting the grounded that you needed, especially about the things that you're also experiencing in your daily life. You cannot go to the supermarket, you have to clean things twice or 3 times or something, I don't know. And it was really good to have that containment in a group of people who are not just supporting you about like working with a client, but supporting you to be able to good in your daily life. So I can say that getting those supervisions, we also attend those supervisions because it was good to follow how the research was going on. But also I can say that every supervision meeting was about just grounding yourself, caring yourself, and then helping the other, because you have to care yourself first, then you can help the others. So it was really good to feel that support, mental support, and the love and caring. It was really wonderful to be in those supervision groups because it was not just about getting supervision, it was also about getting support. So I really want to add that part too. Supervision part was really helpful, not just for the research, but for every participant in the research.
Can I add 2 sentences from a research perspective? So one thing that we should keep in mind that I think while we were conducting the research, our research passed through the IRB of Marmara University. I think this is something that we have to take, that institutional review board. But it's not only limited to IRB of Marmara University. When you're conducting research during the pandemic, you have to get a permission from the Department of Health. So it means that while conducting, even in a limit, I mean, not in limited, but when you're conducting your research, so we all follow the guidelines ethically as well. So that's something that we should keep in mind, that not only limited to IRB of the university, it's also related with the health, because they have certain restrictions. So they were not accepting that. So I think that is something that I want to add. The second one is that everything that we use in terms of the measures, so they have the Turkish adaptation. So we didn't use the measures that we translated to Turkish and use it, utilize it. No, it was adapted to Turkish population in Turkey. So therefore, our measures that we use for our research, so they are validated for the our population. So that's one thing that I want to add as well. And plus the standard protocol. So it means that, so as a practitioner, I have to follow the guidelines that was standardized in a protocol wise. So we were not using randomly I don't know, approaches. So it was standardized. And so before actually applying our protocol, we got through that supervision as well. So I think this is a kind of controlling variable in our research as well, that the practitioner are also follow the necessary documentation. And that was when you're collecting the data, I think this is important because it brings us a kind of variability just because of the practitioner not or doing a kind of protocol that they created. So I think this is something very standardized. So we can use that, utilize that protocol later on if we come across another kind of trauma related. In this case, it is nature-based virus, but it will be human-made as well. So I think that will be part of the protocol that we may later on use. So I just want to add that. If you
Also, all participants were in different regions of in Turkey. It's also the good part. We not connected to the unity in this group. We also come together, all of the Turkey, not in Istanbul only, not in Ankara, the big city, also in all part of Turkey. I also added. That's why also choosing the participant is a very randomly, also not at how to say standardized randomly, but a little bit randomly. That's why I also added it's also so important for the research, I think.
To that standardization, I'd like to also mention, even in the procedures, we were very careful and supportive for the SCPs to have a common language. So we were almost like creating templates of when you when you receive the first call, you can say things along these lines and like respond like this, and then in the first email like this. And so it was really like especially when it started to get more research orientation as well, we were very careful and we almost like dummy proof, like dummy for dummies, like really step 1, do this, step 2, please refer to this text and use this text. And we were creating pre-prepared texts that our somatic experiencing practitioners could use, copy paste and modify a bit to the situation. But we were really becoming very careful to support the research's validity for that, I think, with even the procedures.
Yeah, just a little thing I would like to admire a lot about this research, that whenever that protocol was prepared, the whole team was just thinking about the scenarios that could come up, like just caring sentences, not just like traumatizing or anything that could be hurtful, but caring sentences that should be included in connecting with those people. So the first step was not just offering sessions, but also caring those people with even with the first contact. So I think it was really wonderful to see that how every member really cared who wanted to get help from SE group. So they really cared, even with all little details, like even the sentences, even the form of sentences. They were just like organized by caring the person who is going to get help from us. So I think it was really, really important to consider when you're like conducting your research.
Yeah, I want to add something before we continue. Of course, when we were doing all these additional layer of the research, that brought a little bit of an extra task for our practitioners that were volunteers, and they were really able to absorb that really nicely. You know, we were able to explain to them about that this is really a one-time opportunity. That this is also like reaching people, but we can really make it something that is going to be, you know, not only for Turkey, it's like the worldwide SC community can benefit from it, because this was looking like that opportunity. So all our practitioners really, you know, like they really joined in to this effort. I'd like to thank all of them. There are 50 of them. And on top, as the supervisor for the project, I was very interested how the protocol was working. So we had these additional, actually there is 2 more data sets, but one of them that especially concerns me is about what the practitioners self-report questionnaires they had after each session. What methods of the protocol they used, because there were like 6 steps or so, they were not using them all, sometimes 3, sometimes all, sometimes 2. And then what they thought worked, and what's in the follow-up session, what the client thought that worked and what they continued with. So, and then some verbal input as well. So we have a data set for that too. Which I was also, they could write in their questions. So in each supervision, in the beginning, we went over how to implement the protocol and to procedure, because that was 2 separate things. And then also how to answer, you know, look at the problems, questions that arises on the way. But also, yeah, we have a fresh data, I think is more interest of SC practitioners, not maybe in the wider field, but what particular SC stabilization method was especially helpful in case of this client kind of data we have. Yeah, okay, I just wanted to put that in. But we did one more thing, and I don't know if Hande, you want to start with that one, and Ayşegül can continue. One more data set that we like, because I know one of your questions is what is in the coming, and now we're all excited about, you know, going forward, and we have existing data, and there's actually 2 more, right, Hande? One is the volunteer thing and the other one is the upcoming one. So I don't know in which way.
I think Ayşegül, you will start and I will add the point, because you also, I mean, if it is okay, or do you want me, I mean.
Okay.
I want you to say how the idea, the volunteerism.
Oh, okay, all right, then I will.
Yeah, like that
Okay,
part.
yeah. So then Ayşegül will mention about, the thing is that while we were thinking about that, volunteerism is very important. And I hate using the word social responsibility. Therefore, I prefer to use social solidarity. So it turned out with that volunteerism connected with the social solidarity. So the part that you are actually practitioners, so we are all in a mental health. So we know that there's no health without mental health even in the outbreak of COVID. But the thing is that that kind of volunteerism also embodied itself, which is embodiment is very a C word that we use and utilize, embodied itself through the volunteerism as well. So it turned out to be that since we were doing the volunteerism embodied through, I mean, maybe it's mediating or moderating is somewhere in the social solidarity. I don't know. We have to look at it from the research as well. But it turned out to be that it was a triggering factor. Then it turned out that since while you were doing that volunteerism, so since you're at your phase of practitioner, and there's one statement related with mental health while working, you never become one. You never become a clinical psychologist. It's a long way through. All right, there's no end point. Therefore, we really strongly believe in reflective supervision. So what makes you change through that? Then by itself, what about if we look to our practitioner, how we evolve and change while we were doing that volunteerism, right? And how it will change our view towards the social solidarity. But the one thing is that we are in trauma. So we are in the process of collective trauma. So it's not finished yet, but we just want to see not evaluation, but the changes over time, especially our growth after the trauma, still within the growth, I mean trauma, but what will happen and how it changes. So it's not only how the clients, so-called clients, are changing through our session, but this is also the question that we want to ask to ourselves, how we change while we were in that social solidarity project. That's why it's not social responsibility project of SE. I will social solidarity project of SE. So how we change. So that way, throughout the process, doing the research, which was Defne mentioned about how it's evolved, try to, I don't know, monitor the fidelity of the project. I think it's part of the fidelity check. But the second one evolved through how we change, follow afterwards. So we designed another project that Ayşegül mentioned about the variables, that how we change over the time. And then that will be part of our maybe SC Turkey overall education, that throughout the years longitudinally, how we change while taking the, I don't know, the first modules, the second and the third year. So we're gonna look at it not in the face of outbreak like pandemic, but in a regular so-called new normal, I would say. But we're gonna look at that as well. So I just give the ball to Ayşegül. I don't know. We will add more Didem.
Ayşegül, after you then or before, I don't know which part you want to see, then we want to hear Gülşah telling about the challenges of the practitioner in the present project and also the impact of the SC research.
Okay, I will be very briefly explaining our new model, let's say. We have several variables actually, but the most prominent, the most, let's say, popular ones that we are working with is body awareness, resilience, post-traumatic growth, and thriving. And we have SE practitioners and other mental health professionals who have no relationship with SE. So we are curious about whether or not SE practitioners have a different position in this model. So here we have body awareness and post-traumatic growth, and we hypothesize that the relationship between body awareness and post-traumatic growth will be mediated by resilience. And we found that the model fully mediated via resilience. So there's a strong relationship between body awareness and post-traumatic growth. And this relationship is only through resilience. And we take SE training as a moderator, those who got training and who did volunteer work in the project, and those who do not have training and didn't have any volunteer work. And the moderator was also significant. And this model worked only for the first group, which is SE training holders and volunteer practitioners in the project. So it's a very strong model, and we are currently working on this project. It's okay, I think. If it's okay for you, Didem Hocam, I can stop
It's
here.
good because more will come afterwards.
Oh my
and
gosh, I
maybe
wanna
we will
see that
even get
data.
some ideas from you. So I would like to ask Gülşah on some points that we discussed that you might be adding on, maybe the challenges of, because I know you were the champion of SC session providers in the volunteer project. That is one. Really like the highest number of volunteer session provider, but also you have had many other roles. And yeah, you're from the first group and you edited the paper, and yeah, I would like to hear from your ideas.
Thank you, Didem. I had no idea about that until a few days ago, and it was a nice surprise. And some of the challenges. I'm also now thinking back of the supervision meetings when some of these questions would come up. When you're following the protocol, it was very helpful. Having everything my colleagues were talking about, ready and prepared, and knowing when to send what, that was very helpful. And the steps were, like Daphne said, pretty much. She didn't say idiot proof. She said it nicer, but yeah, like you do this and then you do that and you do that. And so we all knew when to do what. So that was really, really helpful. The protocol both allowed us flexibility in which skills to bring in, while also keeping it contained. And so we didn't go into providing a proper SC session, because this was not actually about providing sessions there. It was about in two sessions helping with self-regulation, helping with managing the stress a bit more, and bringing in very easy to use, easy to remember practical tools to the healthcare workers and the mental health care workers specifically. The challenges, so one challenge might have been that came up now and then is some people were, I'm sure as you know, the activation brings up or is linked to other things that come in as well. So managing, separating that and saying, yes, I hear you, but let's come back to this. So because the activation level was very high, especially with some of the healthcare workers, or some were very much maybe in a dissociated or more free state. So having just two meetings to help support them in that setting, we had to think quickly on our feet, because you don't really have time to get background information. You don't know if they had a difficult birth. You don't know if there are ACEs in their background. So you really have to just go into that self-regulation and supporting the regulation. So challenges, one of the major challenges that kept on coming up in the supervision was managing to stay within a contained area of work in the two sessions. And so in terms of challenges, that might have been one of the primary things. a lot of time contacting people, especially the work when the times were long and it was really pretty much the initial phase of the coronavirus, and the healthcare workers were really overworked and tired. And so getting sometimes to, organize the second meeting could sometimes be a challenge in terms of finding the time, because their shifts change at the last minute, or they are tired, and so going back and changing the time can be difficult. So managing to follow up, that could have been a challenge, but the group was very supportive in that, the organizational team. We provided background, the information on that, and they got back to us. So we all helped hold that field together. Otherwise, that could have been much more of a challenge, because with COVID, sessions really just have skyrocketed. So managing the volunteer time, every hour was important, basically. And so as a practitioner, yeah, making sure that we could hold that space and hold that hour for that person was, could have been more challenging. With some clients or some applicants it was, with some it wasn't so much. But the ground was so unstable that this is all perfectly understandable. And I like to think that with our own regulation and our own containment, we were able to hold this and, be with this, that this is what it is. And so let's try again, kind of. Yeah, I can say that. And going from there, like on the basis of the work that we did in the field and the data that was collected and the outcomes that have come through, I think in the long run, this is a very workable and very versatile protocol that can be used basically anywhere in any emergency. It doesn't, I mean, COVID is still here for a while, but the initial time when people really haven't gotten their footing, they might not necessarily be able to cope with what's going on as easily as they might during a more regular time. This is something that can be used very easily for any SEP. The language will be very familiar to them. The self-regulation and pendulation and grounding and resource. These are things that we basically built into the program. And as everyone here was also saying, sometimes maybe we used 2 of them, and sometimes we used maybe 8 of them, and then being able to follow them up. I think Hande was saying, like, this is all information that we have as well. Or Didem, I don't know. I'm sorry. Somebody said it anyway. But also filling out the forms afterwards also helped us really see what kind of information is, what kind of skill is more useful here, what kind of skill did we bring in last time. That also helps. So I think this research can really make this protocol become something widespread that can be used in basically any part of the world, in situations where a problem is emerging and the ground is really unstable, and people who go into the field to help need support. And this is something we can use, and this is something we can offer to the people who are offering their skills on the front line. I think.
I want to say something before. I don't know what are we doing with the closure, but just want to say, like, we're so proud and so excited to have received this award, because I mean, I'm sure many researchers, whoever joined the project, they also put a lot of effort to what they did. But this one, for us, it's our, I don't know, it's bigger than a baby. It's all of a sudden, it's huge. Is such in our hearts, and we are so blessed that we are in this way recognized, and we feel so privileged to be able to receive this award this year. With this project, it just came together. We didn't know about the award when we started the project or wrote it. We were just thinking of, okay, we will get it published, but the award is like, I don't know, like an extra uh, gift from the universe to these efforts, of the heartful efforts of the huge team. And we're a trauma country, so we do, you know, we're in developing country. We don't have a lot of resources. We don't, this is all volunteer, you know, like no one is getting paid. There's not, you know, it's all our research is like that. So we're happy we're able to contribute, and but we have big hearts, so we're really out there to do what we can. And we're just brought this research team together, this project, because now we are like, now the team is thinking, oh, what is next, and what are we going to do, what research we're going to start with the new coming SC training, because we want to do the longitudinal with the SC training as well. So yeah, just want to say that it brings a lot of motivation, a lot of pride, proudness, happiness and joy to our community. And when we received the award, I made a phone call, it was after midnight, to our research group, and we were like, do you know, we got it, you know, is it real? Did you read the email? Yes, I think so. Did you read it again? Is it like the real reward, or like, is it? We were not expecting it. We were probably hoping for it, but yeah, anyway.
Well, that's actually how I wanted to close. I mean, you perfect segue. I just wanted to hear from you all about how it feels to have won this award, what it means to you personally and professionally. And just, you know, that was how I wanted to just kind of close this out, because I know it's late there, and I know we're probably, I haven't even looked at the clock because I'm just so tied into what you're talking about, but I don't want to keep you too long. But I did want to hear about, you've gotten the award. What does that mean?
Can maybe I will add,
Yes,
I mean,
Manda.
I attended the first conference, which was in Denmark, which was an AC conference. So it was, right, Didem, so Gülşah, you were there, Ignor, you were, and Gülşah. So we were the first group, and we attended the Peter's workshop, and afterwards we attended the conference. I remember at the time that people are showing a kind of studies, shows the evidence. So it's an emergent field in a way with the SC. So when I was listening those as a practitioner as well as the researcher, I was saying, I mean, that's something that we should, I mean, I strongly believe in a C approach. So I think this is that's a different training and different approach, whatever. And we really feel the approach as well. So I was thinking that at that time, why not? I mean, that we will, because we keep hearing a kind of research studies conducted, not in Turkey, but all over the places, that either in the tsunami, right, in the earthquake, or in a kind of trauma-related war, whatever. So, and of course, Didem mentioned about that. We always keep remember that Turkey is in a way in a trauma zone, either in a terrorism in a way, or in an earthquake, whatever. So I was like having the hope that one time we will show our research as well that we're gonna do. So this is something that many years ago, there's a call. I said it's a wise man call. I don't know why I said man, but a call stating that will be something. That's one thing that I wanna add from my, I don't know, academic head. And the second is so, I mean, once we heard about it, so Didem was right, because when we were conducting the research, we never think about that there will be a research award. So I think it's just the way that showing that it's a developing country as well, so we can conduct research as well, and which was acknowledged. I mean, we know that we are doing something, but it's good that they're getting that appreciation. And maybe another thing is that since you're showing a kind of protocol that was shown to shown to be having an influence in the stress and the anxiety level, so maybe other countries will benefit from that as well. So from that perspective, maybe I will add, and so once we get it, so it was a surprising. I read the email many times. So are they telling something? So we didn't, accept the fact that we got the award. So I think so proud, and thank you for that interview as well. This is part of the acknowledgement as well. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
And I want to add just little thing. It was just like when we started to conduct research, as I mentioned, Bilge and I started the training like 2 years ago, and we were just always talking to each other and just saying that SE should be seen in the scientific area more often, because it is really working in a really different and helpful way. So we should really prove how SE works in a scientific way. So it was just like a reward for us to, yeah, we proved it. We saw it. So, but the reward was just like the cherry on the top. So I can say that it was really nice, and I was just checking myself. I'm excited, and I was just saying, is that because of my English level? Is that because I cannot really express myself in English? But I just realized if I want to say those things in Turkish, I would feel the same excitement, and I would be feeling still like not being able to find the correct terms or words to express how I feel. It's a huge excitement for me. So, and it was really wonderful to get the chance to express how we felt through the whole study, through all conducting this research. So I really want to thank you again, just like sparing some time for us and just like hearing about our experiences in this way of research. So thank you so much.
I also had something, maybe. I learned two things in this project. One is intention. Intention is more than everything, I think. And our heart intention, is in this group, not in this group, is also volunteers' intention. Also, the participant intention come together to unity, the second learning, become a unity, collective unity. That's why when in this project and in SE practice, in SE, also in ISP, I learned intention and unity are more than everything. That's why thanks to all participants in this project.
Yeah, with the award, we didn't have a clue that that as yeah already explained. But I got the clue. I think we got the clue in the second European conference, SE conference, that I was also presenting something, my clinical psychology research, but it was actually written in a psychoanalytical perspective, not in an SE perspective. But I just retold it in an SE way, and it was so welcomed. And I also saw that Defne, what Defne did, what Didem did, it was all welcome community. And this research, this much heartfelt effort, really, by all the team, with, like as Neslihan already explained. So it's an acknowledgement from yeah, the universe, I think. Yes, thank you for the reward. It's such a pleasure. Yeah.
Well, I am just overwhelmed and honored to have listened to all of you and just absorbing all this. It's just, again, I'm not an SE trained person, but I can feel it and I can sense it, and I can just the enthusiasm and the heartfeltness is definitely so evident and so inspiring. And I just want to thank you all for taking so much time to spend with me collectively today And I just look forward to hearing more about what you're doing. There's going to be another award next year, but just saying. Um, and, you know, the work that you're doing to track the learning experience, the trajectory of where people start in their training and how that progresses, that is just mind-bogglingly important, I think, in terms of understanding how people walk through this training and what's effective and what's not. That just, you know, wow. That I'm, you know, that would be something to be so important to talk about in the curriculum and the development and making sure that we're really training what we want to train for. I mean, huge. So bravo, brava.
I want to thank also Didem for giving us the opportunity. We are also, Bilge and I are scholarship students in SC, and she's not just supporting by the scholarship, but she's supporting us in every aspect. And if she was not here, we would not be able to receiving this training. So her efforts are really valuable, and I really want to thank her for giving us the opportunity to learn about SC and being in this really supporting group and accepting us to SC family. So I really want to say that I really want to acknowledge her support for us before we just close up. Thank you so much, Didem.
I really want to add this because the dam is very special for me, and SC give me a chance to meet her. I really thank not just for scholarship, but because she contain us. Thank you.
Okay, maybe I can also
Yes,
say a few last words. I agreeing with all said about Didem and her containing, and actually I want to say that multitasking skills and this research and the project also showed that it's not only her. I feel that it's in the land that we come from, the survival that we had to go through in those geography equipped us with many like multitasking abilities. And I just wanted to reflect on what Gülşah said lastly, like this is the protocols, the procedures are for sure implementable anywhere around the world. But I just want to honor the fact that the volunteers who were giving sessions themselves were the ones who were also running the project behind as operators, matching the therapists and the demand and like there was a lot of back work that was totally not within the job description of any therapist. I think that was done voluntarily, full extra time beyond the normal workload. And I just want to think of these volunteers as well now as we're representing them. Thank you so much. This was really like a top down, bottom up, all together collective adventure. Thank you so much for making us speak about it.